know, now that I feel like, let me have the guys here. Hi, guys. We can talk about some other stuff, right? We can talk a little bit, because I don't know about you all, you ladies. You guys are established. You're beautiful. You guys are going to school. You're working. You got your own. And I know, personally, for me, when I go on dates, I hear this. So why are you still single? That is my biggest pet peeve. Like, if I knew my dude, I won't be here with you. Okay? I mean, married somewhere with 5 babies. No, that was a lot. 2 twins.
2 sets of twins.
2 sets of twins. 4. That's where we get it off. So I mean, one, that question just has so much in it. Sure. But I also feel like when a man kind of asks that, it's almost kind of like really asking, so what's wrong with you?
Right,
You know what I mean? It's almost like, can you kind of speak to that? And you guys are married. I mean, I don't know if we're going completely off topic, but why are we here since we're here?
No.
I've been married for 14 years, early 20s. I've never been, you know, a guy who did not want to get married. Okay. For me, the ideal of a marriage was something that I longed for as a child.
Right.
My biological father and my biological mother were not together. And so as a child, one of the things that I wanted to do was get married. And so when I found a woman that I fell in love with, my desire was to become her husband, you know, and become one. I had misconceptions, high expectations, had no idea what I was getting into. And fortunately for me, I was saved when I got married, and so was my wife. I think those 2 aspects or elements were the saving grace of my marriage in general. I have friends that got married at the same time, no longer together. I've seen ups, downs, highs, lows, a whole lot. But I will say this, if somebody's on a date with you and they ask you, so why are you still single? You should ask them the same question. Yeah. Why are you still single? Because I haven't found the right person yet, that's why. You understand what I'm saying? And so for me, it's very, me personally, I don't have time for games when it comes to certain things. I just don't. Because of the lifestyle that I've seen, the things I've been through. So I got with a person with the intention of becoming one. And I'll say this for everybody watching at home. Becoming one is very difficult to do.
Yeah.
Very difficult to do. A lot of people, oh, marriage is not easy. Marriage is not for the weak at heart. Trust me.
No, sir, speak, Bishop.
As much as you love your spouse,
yes,
you will be put to the test every single day.
From day one.
Period, point blank.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What I think and what he said that I would say is, don't take on someone else's beliefs what you think they are of you. So if what you think he's saying is what's wrong with you, don't take that.
Right.
Just answer the question. Like you said, I'm not, because I haven't found the right person yet.
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable for women in the world because my mission in life, my heart is to mentor young men. And it is so hard to find men who, first of all, want to be mentored, even though you know they need it. And then once you do mentor these men, there's some hard-headed brothers out there.
Yeah, they are.
And the ones who are willing to humbly submit to a way of learning and growing in Christ are so few. So I wonder, but then 70% of our audience is women. People are saying, I look at the stats. The people who come to the events, who show up at church, who watch our videos, and I'm wondering and concerned, where are the men that these women are going to marry?
We are too.
The other answer to your question is talk to your boys. Like if someone asks you, why aren't you married? Tell them to talk to your boys. Who are you mentoring today? Who are you bringing up today? Who are you making stronger? How many days a week do you go to church? Are you serving? Do you meet these things? And make it tough. Because so many, and this is, I'm going to say this and hopefully don't start.
I see his feet moving.
Ladies, make it harder for these men.
Make it harder for them.
Because because women are putting up with so much that men feel like they can do whatever with a woman.
Absolutely.
So as a result, there's not that standard being raised. And so I think if you make it harder for them and have higher expectations, but if everybody does it at the same time, then you'll be good.
But that side chick era
and I will also because this is what I see too. Like whenever you meet a nice guy, like I can literally, all 3 of you are amazing men. I can meet you all, like your representatives out and be like, oh my God, but you're all married. But I'm like, yo, I'm saying though, you got a brother, you got like a cousin, you got a dude that you pledge with. What? And they're like, yeah, nah, man, you don't want none of my friends. None of your friends? Like, how are you the best one in your
Right.
all your boys? Like, for me, that's a problem. Like, because if you meet me and you're like, yo, you mad cool, you got it. I'm like, yo, pick Tiffany, Esther, and I got names for you. I'm like, which one you want, my dude? But like for the guys, it's like, yeah, now I'm the best one. I got my shorty. Oh my God, God is faithful. What? So can you help me, like, because you know, even the Bible is biblical. The Bible talks about like hanging with, you know, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
So, some of y'all are hanging with some blunt knives. Like, what's going on?
I think it depends on where your pool is.
Okay.
So if you have restrictions on your pool,
Okay.
saying, okay, I can only date this race, or I can only date
Yes.
within this height range,
I like where you're going. I like
or I
where
can
you're
only
going.
date
Yes, sir.
within this age
Yes, sir.
range.
Talk
Yeah.
about it. Talk about it.
Then you're gonna shrink the amount of people that
Yes,
are
sir.
actually available to you.
Correct.
Amen.
Correct.
Equal opportunity daters.
Right. So if you're saying, well, I only want a brother, that's it, that's all that's gonna be. Well, you got to take into consideration we're 13% of the population of the United States.
And 85% of that 13 are in jail. Jail.
Or just coming out.
Okay, so you shrunk your pool so small,
Yeah.
and then you got to take into consideration of that 13%, how many of those men, cut it in half,
Yes.
okay, are married, already married,
Right.
okay? And you say that's even smaller.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how many of them are of marrying age? Who's 18 and up? 18 is really low down there if you're talking about getting married.
Yeah,
But
it
who's, let's say, 21 and up? Even smaller.
Yeah.
And so from your perspective, there's no good man out there.
Right.
There's no opportunities. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But you just negated, you know,
whole-
like
85% of the
85% of the
population in
world.
America,
You know?
yeah.
Hipster, you know, our white brothers, the
Oh,
hipster ones. they-
listen, Linda, once you go white, oh my God. It's all right. It's all right. No.
I totally agree with that because that's kind of how I feel. Like I would prefer an Egyptian man because I want a guy who can understand my family and speak my language and all of that, like, you know, awesomeness. But at the same time, I'm like, no. Like me and my sister like have a joke because they say like there's a lot of fish in the sea. We're like, well, the fish in the Nile, they ain't doing it for us. Like, we got no fish in
The Red Sea. We gotta go to the fish in the Red Sea because it's not in the Nile.
like, I'm fishing somewhere else because this ain't doing it
Yeah,
for me.
you know, it's like, okay, we're getting jobs, we're going to school, we're educated. I got 2 degrees, and it's like, so play. You got that community. You don't have that. Okay,
Yeah.
you got that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Trade school?
okay, so that little Bow Wow education. Okay, you and Lil Romeo was on at the Vibe. Okay, okay. So my daddy's not gonna be happy about
Oh
that.
my gosh.
Because they came here from Africa, and not the way you did. But I'm just, I'm like, it's not.
Yeah.
We can't even have that conversation.
It's rough, man.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
rough.
Yeah.
So-
because I know like everyone, even me, I have a preference.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know
Of
what
course.
I like,
Yes.
course.
but I'm also open to others. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to be African American. I would prefer,
And
but it's okay if you're not.
And I feel like once more women start looking outside the African American zone, I feel like then we'll become a commodity. I feel like it'd be like, wait. Keisha's with John? Oh, my Keisha? I gotta step up. I
And you know
feel
what?
like
From the business perspective, he said is like the first part is make yourself more marketable.
Yes.
But then whenever you open up the competition, then the other competition has to respond.
Exactly.
Brothers will start getting their stuff together whenever
Absolutely.
they recognize that they
Absolutely.
can't just get anything because
Of course.
you have to be with a particular race.
Exactly. I agree. So if you watching at home, think outside the bun. Literally,
Yeah.
just look outside.
Yeah.
If all you see is the same color, go to another neighborhood.
Yeah.
Read a book.
TQ just announced, though, that there is a place you can come to, brothers, you know, if you're looking for a date. 70% of our followers at P4CM are women. That's crazy.
Wow. Interesting.
But
Show up at Rhetoric, you might get
you show up in rhetoric, but we also want a quality kind of dude. Don't just be Buster Lewis off the
But
street.
you know, the truth is some of these men, some men too, are struggling about where to find the right women.
Yeah.
So I literally thought one day, because there are a number of women on our staff who are single, and I was thinking like, where would I go to hook some of these sisters up? So, brothers, man, if you're trying to get your life right, it's
Come
on,
out
come on
to
through.
what's the date? August.
August the 7th. And I don't mean just
7th?
rhetoric. I mean just come, do the internship, get your life together right. 3 or 4 people have met at Rhetoric that I know personally,
Yeah, me too.
got engaged, got married since I've been doing it. So
So wait, going back to the question. So if we ask the 3 of y'all, if y'all have friends, for us,
They
the
married.
answer. So you just
I'm
all
I'm
hanging out with
104
married
years
folks.
old, so
Well-
all my friends are married.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't understand is that a married person, once they get married,
yeah.
they still have the same friends, but their quality time spent away from their wives are usually with like people. So in other words, I still have single friends, but most of my friends that I fellowship with as Christian men are men that we kind of share our battle, so to speak.
Got it.
We're accountability partners. We're
Right.
both married. We both can talk on a particular level. And it'll be dangerous, quite dangerous at times if I were to hang out with some of my single friends.
Yeah, no,
You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
And so as a
cover
married
yourself.
man, exactly, I have to make wise decisions. So all of my friends and associates are not going to be single, but of course I do have a few that are single,
Got it.
obviously.
Now, what do you guys have to say about, like, man, I don't know if this is an issue for you, but when guys are like, man, I don't want to date nobody at my church. What?
I don't
That's
understand
where we.
that.
That's where we go.
Yeah.
I can't understand that.
But you've heard that though.
I've heard it
actually,
too.
I've never heard that.
No, I have.
I've heard it.
I heard it too.
I've heard it too. And I think it's because they know their character. I think they recognize in themselves that they're not at the level of commitment that they should be in regards to a relationship, and they don't want to do damage. So, because if you do damage at your church home, it's magnified. Okay, because you would then develop a reputation as the dude that goes to the women at the church and just crushes hearts.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so to avoid that, because you know you're going to crush a heart,
Yeah.
I'm going to crush hearts outside the church instead of doing it inside the church. Still shady character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still shady character either way.
Yeah.
But in their mind, I'm sure they're minimizing damage.
And vice versa.
Is it possible though that people don't know how to date? You know, like
Absolutely.
Possibly. Oh, yeah.
But people don't know how to date. People also don't know how to talk. But people also don't know what to look for. Again, going back to this hip hop society,
Right.
I'm looking at you as a wife, I think, but I don't know what qualities you should have. Not even the cooking and the cleaning, but it's like, I mean, Jay-Z and Beyonce, they power couples, so I need my man.
Yeah.
What? Add a B to that, fool. It's babe, okay? Like, whatever. Like, I need my babe, but what is a babe? Like, what do you want from me? And I think we don't even know, we talked about having bliss, but I feel like, yes, those are characteristics, but like taking outside of an adjective, what does that look like materialize? Like, yes, I need him to be wise. What does that mean? Do you need him to be Albert Einstein? Or do you need him to be like, babe, this right here is $20. Tomorrow we're going to come back because it's a sale and that's going to be 10% off. So let's come back tomorrow. You know, it's like, oh, that's wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you have two people that don't know how to date,
okay.
and they don't know what to look for in, as far as qualities are concerned. I think one of the first places you should probably start is what is their pursuit of Christ? Meaning, how much like Christ are they trying to be? Okay? If you see in that person, they're modeling the behavior of Christ. They want to be more like Christ. Then you can say, okay, I can invest some time in that person. If you see them modeling the behavior of some pop icon, or of what culture says is manly, or what some other dude that's in some gang around the corner taught him, then that's the dude you're gonna want to shy away from,
Okay.
because he doesn't know. He's still trying to figure it out, But when you have the pattern of the word already set before you, how did Christ live in this world? How did Christ even engage women? That's in the Bible. You can see it in the Bible. How did he even engage women? Was he like all booed up with them? That's my homegirl. I'm gonna kick it with her, super tight. We not really dating, but it kind of looks like it. All this ambiguity, unclear.
Didn't happen. Yeah, I agree.
All right, so is it like, are you wondering what men are looking for should be themselves, or what are they looking for in women as well?
Well, no, it's like, they always tell women, don't marry potential. Don't marry, don't marry just because he has potential. Like, but it's like, okay, we know we don't want the thug dude, and we know we may not want super Christian dude because he don't even know how to communicate.
Ain't nothing wrong with super Christian.
Super Christian dude is almost always
that's the
whack.
problem.
Super Christian,
That's the issue.
See,
right
you guys
there.
are Christian dudes that are like, I can have a conversation with you guys and leave like, I was actually enlightened. Super Christian dude is like, well, in Corinthians, ninja.
Well, see,
you
when
know,
you
cool.
no,
Right,
is
right.
Matt is a super Christian.
Yeah, no.
He's a super duper Christian.
But so is kind of Jeanette. Jeanette is.
and that's what he's saying though. Like, so part of what you got to wonder about is that like now you got to want to hang around the person that you're with. I'm with you.
Exactly.
At the same time, how far does that go? Because the two of you over the course of there are major things just in the first 4 years of marriage that I've changed about myself that are fundamental things about me.
Of course.
And then my wife has changed about herself that are fundamental things about
Yes.
her that we didn't particularly care for about each other in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because you just learn how to grow and change with one another. If someone is submitting to some other, if a guy
Yes.
has another older man who can tell him you're wrong and he listens, then that guy can mold himself into a place that's humble for you to get along with. And if you can widen the range of how what you call cornball, you know, I think there's some possibilities there.
God, and again, I think it's in all, I wouldn't say swag is what is swag, but we're all Christian women and we love the Lord and we love Jesus. When you meet us, we're not like, holy as a thou. You know, we're like, hey, how you doing? Oh yeah, we should go kick it at karaoke. Now I gotta get my accountability partner sister because I don't know if I can be ninja. What are we talking about here? But you know what I mean? So it's just, but you do find those guys that when like they're saved, you're just like, okay, I don't want you to revert back to your life pre-Jesus, but can I at least see that like there was a life pre-Jesus?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think hanging around with you though, if you invested just a little time, like
Right.
I'm gonna hang with you and see, you might rub off on that dude.
Yeah.
So his swag game might step up a little bit.
Right.
You know, he won't necessarily always have his shirt buttoned up to
Right.
the top. You know, even though that is hipster now.
So
but
you're saying that we should entertain the fixer uppers?
don't disqualify him because he's super Christian.
And think about what you're calling fixer upper. Some of the stuff that needs to be changed oftentimes is not the essential stuff.
Yeah.
Whenever you get into a marriage, it is great that I can sit with my wife and watch the Super Bowl and we can talk about it together. Or we can go play one-on-one basketball together. That's cool. But what's really cool is when I say something that offends her, she can take it well. When I have that attitude of how I said something on the video with her,
Yeah.
who I live with, and she knows my humor, and it offends her, we can work that out.
Okay.
That's something that's a higher plane than being able to have those necessary things that are there, and that's where the stuff that these brothers are talking
I got
about
you.
comes into play. When you aim for these things that are nice to have, and you sacrifice the needs, man, you end up with a drama-filled situation.
So if I could put you guys on the hot seat, not like you're not already, but if I could put you guys on the hot seat, because you know you have women who are all aspiring to be married at some point in their life. What things about you could have been deal breakers for your wives that you're really happy that they saw pass? I mean, I think that might help us be like, oh, because we know you guys, and we know you guys are cool dudes now, but I'm sure there was a jerk history.
Yeah.
Like that, jerk history. And I'm not talking about seasoning.
No,
I'm not talking about seasoning.
I hear
But I'm sure there was a jerk like that. That was a Caribbean humor. There was a jerk history that they had to endure, and now you're like, I'm really glad she stuck with me because that was crazy. Just so that you can kind of give us an example of what things. I don't want to say could be deal breakers, but also in you telling us the thing that they had to work through, what was the thing that made you guys change, either personally or her? So, anybody?
I'll start. So when I think about my wife specifically, there was a time when I probably wasn't the right kind of guy for her, to be honest with you. There were things that I was dealing with, and I would certainly not want to recommend someone like myself 20 years ago to my wife. I had to go through something. I had to grow up. I had to mature. And even though I was in my early 20s when I proposed to my wife, I was saved for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years at the time, and I had just changed a lot of things about me. Yes, I was not always the person that I am today, and I'm still growing. And let me just make a disclaimer: I'm not perfect.
Got it.
I'm far from perfect. But there was a person that I saw that gave me a twinkle in my eye, a twitch in my heart, and I fell in love. And I knew that if I wanted to be with that person, I had to change a lot of negative things about myself. I would go to every single married couple that I could find that was successfully married, not people who had failed at marriage, but I would go to a successful married person and say, can you give me some advice? What would you recommend for a young man who wants to make it work? And I promise you, I literally asked 30 men that were married.
What was the number one thing you had to change?
The number one thing I had to change?
Yeah.
Selfishness, pride. I hated being wrong. I always thought about myself first. And probably one thing that was huge was my focus on financial provision. That may sound crazy to some people, but that wasn't really the most important thing in a relationship. At the time, 20 years ago, 17, 18 years ago, I was on my way to the NFL. And so my focus was, well, when I get this money, whoever the side female is, my lady, I'm gonna make her my wife and we'll just live this dream life. So my focus behind closed doors, sadly, was on finances. And it should have been on finances. There were so many other foundational things that should have been established. So for me, right before I met my wife, was a bad time. But I trusted in the Lord that once I got saved, I'll meet the right person, and she was always there. And it was, for me, it was perfect. So if I would give advice to a young lady as to what it is that they need to work on, just work on your relationship with God. Just work on your relationship with God. Everything will fall into place when it's supposed to, if it's supposed to.
Amen.
And I think he said something that's really important. It was the whole asking guys for advice thing. Like, I just recently learned, like, if a guy's Christian, that's cool, but if he's a Christian not seeking counsel, that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
he's, you know, like, because he has his own mentality of, like, how things are going to happen. I mean, he's not married. Like, he's never been married. He doesn't know how it...
He only knows his own limitations.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
knowledge.
So it's like a guy who's not seeking counsel, like, I've recently was like, no, like, if you're not seeking counsel, then
Or
go
open.
seek counsel
Yeah.
and then come talk to me because I'm not dealing with that
That's
again.
important. That's important.
Yeah.
'Cause a wise man seeks counsel. That's Bible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, AD.
Yeah. So if you go deep enough in my Facebook page,
Okay.
you'll
Like
see some,
2014.
like no. Well, I probably posted it then, but the pictures of me back from like high school, junior high school, I was busted. Okay? Pretty bad. And so if my wife had met me then, her standard was higher. Okay? Because my wife is beautiful. She's a gorgeous woman.
Absolutely.
She would have looked at, you know, high school 20-something AD and be like, no.
Busted in what sense?
Busted,
like,
and I had the thickest glasses you've ever seen.
Okay.
Okay. Teeth was, you know.
You got that.
Right.
You got that Obamacare
Yes.
going on now. Okay.
And you know, it wasn't a pretty thing. They're still up there on Facebook. But
Go back Thursday.
so right, that's what I'm putting up there too. So I would have been disqualified based on that. But then the other part of it is I was pretty dogmatic about my belief system, whatever it is. You know, whether it's politics, whether it's how things should operate and process, whether it's religion. I was a pretty dogmatic dude. I had the answers. And a wise man told me, he's close by.
In the vicinity.
He's in the vicinity.
Okay.
He was helping me actually in my marriage. So she married me knowing the dogma, okay? He told me that a phrase that helped him, and it has helped me, is I could be wrong, okay? Just putting that out of your mouth, I could be wrong. It helps the conversation, and it kind of brings me back into place that I actually could be. I am human. I don't have all of the answers, but you know, that could have been a quality that my wife used to say, not that dude.
Okay.
No.
And you do have a lot of women who, I don't say are strong-headed, but they're strong women. So when they come up with it's like somebody has to submit, and a lot of women are like, why am I always the one to like compromise? It's like, I did that 2 weeks
Can I
ago.
tell you why?
Okay.
Because 1 Peter 3 is just right on. The way that you help a man is with that humble and quiet spirit. In 2015, my wife is a physician. So my wife grew up with a single mom, with 2 kids, where at times they'd be homeless, and they grew up very poor, and made it from there to now she's a doctor, and bringing home all the bacon. I married all the way up.
Come up show.
And the thing is, for me, I was just like AD. I was super proud. You know, I did well academically a lot of times in school, was very successful. So I was like, I know everything. I know what you know better than you know what you know. And so early on in our dating relationship, and I have a super strong personality. So a lot of people in general, but women in particular, could get very intimidated by it. My wife didn't respond by butting heads with me, even though she has the credentials and the resume and a wonderful vocabulary, which is super sexy to me. She has a wonderful vocabulary to be able to go toe-to-toe. But she didn't choose that route. She didn't choose that route. She chose the route of she would pray and determine the right way to talk to me when the heat went down. This is how that made me feel. Could you come at things a different way? And I had gone through a period of, as a Christian, God broke me of that. As a minister before her, ministering to other people in the church, when I was strong with people, you break them. You hurt people sometimes when you're that strong. And I learned that. I had to learn how to come down. And I thought I was down, but then when you with your spouse, I had to come down even more.
Yes, sir.
And when you're a spouse and she's going through different times and she's having difficult times in her own life, if she's pregnant or if she's whatever the case, or even just as you get closer, if she's normal, as you get closer, little things hurt bigger. So I just had to learn how to be more and more sensitive, and more sensitive, and more gentle, and more humble, and more low humility. And it did that because I saw how I was hurting her, but ultimately how I was offending God. Because if I was the person who said that I'm gonna love my wife like Christ loved the church, Christ died for the church.
And I think that's an amazing point for not only the guys but also for the women.
Yeah, most definitely. Because even
yeah.
in my failed marriage, I had to go back. The reason I have a list is because not only for what I needed, but some things that I needed to change within myself.
Yeah.
Because there were some things that I failed at personally that I didn't kill in myself because I had this strong personality. I wanted to fight back instead of coming in with meekness.
Yeah.
I wanted to be this strength. So yeah,
I think also the Bible says it's like a gentle tongue.
Right.
Gentle with
Yeah.
wrath.
Yeah.
There it goes. I was like, somebody,
True.
alley-oop it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thank you guys so much. You guys were amazing, and I really do hope all of you guys at home have learned something from this amazing panel. I know I have. I was sitting here asking questions, but I was taking mental notes, copious notes.
Amen.
I just want to thank everybody, TQ, AD, Kaz, Miss Crystal, Lydia, and Tiffany for joining us. Again, I'm your host. This has been The Conversation on P4CM. Definitely come back. And again, love God because we love you and he loves you even more. All the best. Bye.